Since I'm up so early, or been up quite a while, I should say, been up a long time. It's what happens when you are summoned in the middle of a night. Well, listen, just had my hot tea, and I thought I wanted to talk about the book, my book, Always the Groomsman, Never the Groom. It's a book. Intentionally written to be a book. Intentionally written to be a book. Now, none of you knew me before the book. And none of you knew me before the people that are in the book. And the people that are in the book are not all of the people that the book is about. It's just a few, a sample. And of the few that are in the book, it's not everything about the people that are in the book. It's just a kind of a highlight cliff note, if that, of the people that are even in the book. But you'll read the book and you'll think you'll know everything, which you don't. You only know what I allowed you to know from the pieces that I put together that I had really no intention of doing. Again, you're not reading something that was done with an intention of writing a book. It's kind of an inside look of something private that I decided to reveal in pieces, in a very small piece of it, to make only the point that I wanted to make using those people, the few I selected, to talk about in a very small way. So you don't know any of those people, and though you know something of those people that you read about, it's hardly the whole story. You obviously don't know me. You may have met me, you may have walked with me, you may have talked with me. You can't know me. You haven't been with me long enough, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, to know me. But you know of me. Some of you know more of me than others. What is the Bible? It's a book with a beginning and an end, the way it was put together by men, not God. Men put that together. And what part of it? Now, my book isn't a Bible. It's not really a large volume of work. It's a very small part of one part of a small book in the Bible. But when you look at the Bible itself, let's say particularly the New Testament, that was not Torah, that was not Mount Sinai. Those were letters. Letters. They were not written to become a book. If you could read my letters before I wrote my book, it's a different metric. It's a different measure. It's a different value system. I'm not writing to people or talking to people because I'm thinking I'm going to write a book. The conversation would not hold up under literary examination, analysis, or scientific standards or scrutiny, because that wasn't the purpose of me writing before I wrote the book after the fact. I'm just talking to my friends, having conversations, very loose conversations, because they can be loose, because I'm not on a court witness stand monitoring and being coached what words to say and not say. I'm not being interrogated in a police room. I'm sitting around having dinner, walking around, laughing, giggling, talking back and forth. I'm not in an academic classroom being graded on a paper or an oral presentation. I didn't study all night and open up a dictionary before I went to have dinner to decide exactly what words I have to say and how to say and where to put the punctuation, the jots and the jittles, and scribe. Those are done in Hebrew to teach us how to have the right sound of the letter. No, it wasn't necessary in a conversation. It wasn't even necessary in a friendly exchange that I've had with many, writing letters or texting. I'm not under any great scrutiny. I can be a little more lazy, casual, cavalier. We're having a conversation. I can have a run-on sentence. It doesn't matter. I'm not in front of my English teacher. I can be at ease. I can, what they say, let your hair down. You salute the general and says, at ease, soldier. At ease. Stop having your chest puffed up. Stop looking like a stiff board. Relax. You see, off the record. Is this off the record? Can I talk to you off the record? Reporters do it all the time. Then they have to stop recording you and they have to stop writing. Hey, off the record. All right, turn the recorder off. Off the record. Now you can put your feet up and have a conversation. Those are personal letters Paul was writing, and he wasn't writing to you and me. Someone decided to put it together and record, and then you look at the New Testament as if you're looking at Torah. It's not Torah. It doesn't even come close to Torah. The things that actually were written specifically, not in a conversation, but for instruction for you. Now that's the academic part. By the time you get to the New Testament, and it's not really called the New Testament, but nonetheless, by the time you get to the Gospels and the Pauline writings, those are people that are already rooted in Torah. You see, they already have been academized. It's their culture, it's their language. It's not if you're a barbarian or if you're a Viking. It is if you're a Semitic, if you're a Semite, if you're Jewish, if you're Hebrew. So you're listening and you're talking to people who don't really need to fill in the blanks. They already have the rule book, the actual book. And they're just talking amongst themselves, having conversations around it. So I wrote my book, and now people have read it. Now their conversations are around the book. The book, which in and of itself is a highlight of the Torah that I've never, ever revealed. So the book now becomes a type of Torah on several levels. Because that's all you know, and that's all you've read, and that's all you've heard. But you don't know the letters that went before the book. The little book that I wrote went under dozens and dozens of editing scenarios. It was constantly, every time you thought you edited, you have to reread it and find there's more editing. It was in fact, by the time the book was published, I wasn't even done with the editing. The editing could have been endless. It could have gone on and on and on, and the book would have never been published. Believe me, there were tons of editing analysis that took place. And by the way, from more than one person. Myself, another person, 4 or 5 different eyes were on the book that I wrote. And when I finally came to the conclusion, this process will never stop. There's always something to correct. There's always something to reiterate. There's always something to take out. There's always something more to put in. That's it. Enough. It's never going to be perfect. It's good enough. Publish it. And that's how that works. Pretty much the same thing with the letters. These were letters. They were not meant to be published and turned into something equivalent to the Torah. Who is the letter to? That's the context. And is it a letter or is it a Torah? Is it an instruction? Is it a command? Can I be at ease or should I stand at attention right now? Is the general giving me official orders that come down from high command? Or is this just casual conversation between a general and a subordinate? Should I be dictating every word? Probably not. Is this an official communicate? No. So understand in communication, understand in reading, understand even in conversation when the magnifying glass of scrutiny should be applied and when it shouldn't. Just a casual conversation. You don't want to constantly have a situation where you are scrutinized unless it's absolutely necessary. It depends on how extreme the casualness is. People do hey, I said be at ease, but not that at ease. I said be casual, but now you're too casual. You have to be casual, but still with respect. Even in a court of law, they would allow some levity, but levity is not debauchery. Don't start stripping and acting crazy now. No, I told you it's good. Oh, now you've gone too far. So you can go too far, and even in a casual moment. So when you're writing letters to your friends or texting, you can be a little too casual. What do we call that? That's kind of like TMI, too much information. It's like, listen, we're friends, but we don't need to be ridiculous. So even in your casualness, monitor it to some degree. Obviously, you're not being judged by a final exam. But some of the principles should still be in play, knowing how to speak, knowing how to talk, knowing the levity, knowing how to take things serious. Sometimes we laugh at the wrong moment, and it takes away the power. One of the things of communication, they tell you that when you rebuke a child, don't laugh and giggle after you rebuke them, because you take away the power and the meaning of a rebuke. A laugh and giggle is not for a rebuke. A laugh and giggle is for something whimsical, something fun, joyful, something moderately silly, something happy. You don't want to tell somebody to have a serious face when they're opening up a present you're giving them. You might want to giggle. You might want to laugh. Understanding the book, understanding the difference between a letter, the content and the reason for the writing. So regardless of what people do, and they put something together and try to make it liturgy when it's not, make it an order when it isn't, make it official when it's something unofficial, takes away the understanding of what's going on. Remember this lesson when reading, to know the difference between what exactly you're reading. What's Torah, what's not. What's a letter to a friend, writing from a prison, and what you can learn from reading someone's mail, which is what you're doing when you're reading most of the New Testament. You're reading someone else's mail.